Today we're going to talk about game week 3 transfer targets in VFL. This was my team. I got 105 points this week. Zeus IGL with a nice little carry helped me quite a lot. But let's talk about the fixtures of the upcoming matches and who you might want to bring in and out. Let's start with players that you might want to get out. Obviously, in general, we're talking about, going from VCT Americas and Pacific players to EMEA players so that you can have enough players for EMEA's own game week 6 that they'll have at the end. But I will also talk about, if you already have enough EMEA players, for instance. But let's take a look at Americas and some teams that you might want to get rid of. I think EG are the obvious one, right? I know a lot of people started with EG players because they played 2 games first. But, next up we got Sen and Crew, right? That's probably 2 losses, probably 2, maybe even without a map win, right? So I think EG, if you have an Icy, for instance, it's probably a time to start looking at someone else. If you can do, otherwise you're probably benching them. Like I've got Derek, I'm probably just gonna bench him, maybe until the loud game and see what EG do. But honestly, you could even get rid of them. It might be the best choice, to be honest. Nothing too much else, I think, in Americas in terms of like definitely getting rid of players. NRG have G2. So if you want to jump off the NRG train, now is probably a pretty decent time. They got G2 and MIBR, so if you've got a Matter or maybe even Som, right? I know Som's done pretty well thus far, but with these 2 games coming up next, do you trust NRG to win those games? Certainly not the G2 one, I would think. So, probably not going to get a ton of map points. He has been frying, so you could keep him in. It's absolutely fine if you do choose to, but, not easy for sure. And in Pacific, in terms of some teams that you want to, maybe get rid of their players, obviously Talon with a pretty disappointing performance, play Nongshim next. Don't really know who's going to win that game, if I'm honest. The problem for Talon, if you've got Talon or Nongshim, they play each other, and then they play Zeta and Nongshim play T-Secret, so it's kind of you might want to keep them for those games, because they probably will win those games, I would think. Obviously, if you got Paper Rex, if you did go Paper Rex, you were probably hoping, hey, I'll get past the Gen G game, and, then I'll look to bring Paper Rex in, maybe even, but no. Boom look insane, and if you've got a Boom player, you're just keeping them, I think, at this point, because they're pretty cheap, and they're probably pretty good. Boom look incredible. You might want to sell any global players if you've got them with DRX and Gen G coming up next. That's not the easiest for sure. In terms of bringing players in, though, of course, mostly we are going to focus on EMEA. But if you do have enough EMEA players, if you started like a week late, for instance, and you did start with a lot of EMEA players, and so you don't need to bring one in all the time, then there are a couple teams in Americas I think you should definitely be targeting. Crew have 2G, EG, 100 Thieves, and they already look insane, right? So Kesnet, if you do have enough EMEA players, seems like an absolute, like, crazy good potential choice. Or really just any Crew players. You could go Shy if you wanted to as well. I mean, they're all pretty decent fraggers, so, any one time they could pop off. So, yeah, Crew definite in. And even Sen as well, right? Sen have EG Loud 2G. So again, I mean, you're looking at that and you're thinking that's very good for Sen. So again, if you want to bring in a Sen player, now is a pretty good time to do it. But then looking at EMEA, obviously, this is where, the majority you'll want to be bringing in of some of these teams. And let's just go through the teams, shall we? So Giants, you probably want to hold off for a week on Giants because they've got Heretics, but you might have some faith in them. I might be forced to play Westside this week and hope that he can frag like he did against Vitality. But yeah, you might want to wait 1 week for Giants, but then it actually looks pretty good for Giants after that. Vitality, obviously, they do play Fnatic, which isn't easy. Fnatic, Heretics, their next 2, probably their 2 toughest games, but it is Vitality, so I don't think there's ever a bad time to bring in a Vitality player, to be honest. It's always going to be a good choice. Right, BBL. Okay, for teams like BBL, and I'm going to add KC into this, I'm going to add Gentle Mates into this, I'm going to add Team Liquid into this as well. Gentle Mates have Foot this week, so maybe for Gentle Mates it is hold for a week and then bring them in. But for especially Team Liquid, BBL, KC, it really is just up to you. It's how much you believe in those teams, because I really can't tell you who's gonna do well and do badly out of those teams. I really can't. Who's gonna win BBL Liquid? I have no idea, right? Karmine Corp do play Koi this week, so if you do have at least some good feeling about Karmine Corp, this is probably the week to bring them in. But yeah, I think that group of EMEA is just completely up for grabs. I have no idea what's going on. Team Heretics have Giants. Obviously, you have missed the Apex game if you want to bring in a Heretics player, which honestly, I might be bringing in a Heretics player this week. But Giants should still be a win. It's then Team Vitality, which obviously won't be easy. But if you're going to bring in a Heretics player, it probably is this week. Apex did look better. And actually, this is the thing. I might even start Molesy against Navi. I know some of you probably will have Apex players because they're cheap. And honestly, we might be starting them against Navi. We really might. That's how crazy it is. But speaking of the inverse, Navi is a good pickup, right? Because they've got Apex and Giants. So another good team to, like, if you want to pick them up, Navi is a good option. The only problem with picking up Navi players is that in game week 6, they play Team Vitality, right? And you'll be forced to play them in that week. And they really, I mean, they might get negative points, right? Like, that's on the card. So that's kind of the problem with picking up Navi, is they have a horrendous matchup in the last week. Foot are just a good pickup in general. I think going double Foot. The thing is with the EMEA is there's only, I would think I would only trust Foot and Vitality to have double of. I almost wouldn't trust anyone else to go double their players. But if you want to go double Foot, I think that's absolutely fine because I think they look very good, to be honest. Koi, I don't have a lot of faith in Koi, and I think you look at that schedule and it's tough. They might win a game, but it's tough to know. Gentlemates is their last game, which maybe is a game they can win, but it's tough. Fnatic have Vitality this week, so you probably, I would say, hold off on a Fnatic pick for this week, get them in for the Apex Giants games, and be feeling better about where you are overall there. And yeah, that's the MEA. So I'd probably say, like, Vitality Foot, bring them in anytime is good. Heretics this week is probably pretty good. Fnatic maybe wait a week, and then if you believe in some of the BBL Karmine Core mates or Liquid players, then go for them if you have some faith in them. But those are the kind of, you know, general realms that I would be looking at. And then in terms of who you should be IGLing this week, there are a couple, you know, fairly good options for players and teams. You know, in Americas, again, we're talking about Crew and Sen, right? Sen versus EG, Crew versus 2G. You know, you're probably feeling pretty good if you've got any Crew or Sen players, you know, about IGLing them, particularly a Kesnet or a Zekken, seem like prime options. And T1 have Team Secret as well, so T1 players, you know, I've got Buzz in my team, so he's probably going to be my IGL this week for T1, is Buzz against Secret. But yeah, those are probably some of the best options. In EMEA, there aren't a ton of amazing options. You know, I mean, maybe a Team Heretics player against Giants if you believe that, but I'm not sure I trust them that much. Vitality have a pretty tough game of Fnatic. Foot, Gentlemates look pretty good, so, you know, I wouldn't trust it as much as those other three of T1, Sentinels, and Crew.